We Brits are a nation of obsessive collectors. Across the country, there are storage units straining at the seams.
Wow.
Groaning garages and stuffed garden sheds.
Wow.
I've forgotten how much stuff I've had.
Home to dreams.
My director's chair.
Past lives.
That's unbelievable.
And untold baggage. And we're drowning in it.
Heaven's sake, what are all these things?
But among the clutter and the junk,
Empty box.
my mission is to find buried treasure.
1,500 to £2,500 there.
Wow.
Gosh.
Unlock memories.
There's a lot of memories in 2 boxes.
And turn trash into cash.
260, 270, 280.
Welcome to the world of storage hoarders. Today, our first hoarder is retired teacher Irene Tuckett. With containers in 2 continents from the US to the UK, she's joined by son and deputy headmaster Chris. Her hoarding price tag, over £4,000, 2 units, 2 years, too many.
It's just become such a huge task that I can't even start it.
Irene lives in Leatherhead in Surrey. Literary figures Jane Austen, Edward Lear and C.S. Lewis once lived nearby. Irene's had a well-travelled life and racked up a lot of storage in the process.
I've lived in 22 different houses in my life, moved about 25 times altogether. When you move around a lot, you can't hold on to places, you can't hold on to people, so you hold on to things.
Oh, that was just from Washington,
That's
wasn't
Washington,
it?
D.C., that's
Cherry
right.
blossom.
Yep.
She lives with her son Chris, who's a minimalist, not keen on clutter.
I don't think that she's necessarily a hoarder, but she's definitely a collector. She likes purchasing items at antiques fairs, sometimes on the internet, on eBay. Knickknacks from other countries. So we used to live in Australia and Mum used to live in France. And if she goes travelling, then she'll always bring back items. She hasn't had anywhere to put them, so they've ended up in the storage unit, and the storage unit's got more and more full of items.
I started off with a large storage unit and thought that would be enough for my needs. But then I found that I needed to move some extra goods over, and therefore I took a second smaller one on a temporary basis, and that was about 18 months ago. So temporary looked like becoming permanent. But let's face it, if things have sat there for 2 years, I can't really need them, can I?
Irene's mother recently passed away. Acquiring more stuff has made her worry about the looming legacy of her mounting lot.
It's brought home to me how hard it is to find a home for other people's goods, and I wouldn't like my children to be left with what I've got in storage. It wouldn't be fair to them.
Irene's keen to make some hard cash from sorting her goods. It's part of a mission that's very close to her heart, involving her Belgian mother.
Chris and I intend to go back to Ostend with my mother's ashes and scatter them, and this money would be put to that purpose.
The question is, can I get Irene to turn out all her trinkets from her travels?
How are you feeling? Oh, a little bit overwhelmed.
Her son says she's a collector, not a hoarder. Perhaps a sort through the storage will show us.
It's a big job, isn't it?
A lot of boxes.
Oh, my goodness.
Time to get stuck in, but hoarding's no Toy Story.
Children's toys. Yes, oh, there's plenty of those. Toys. More toys.
I can't believe how many toys you had.
How about the rocking horse?
Does he have a name?
Henry. Toys, Aggie.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Toys.
This is getting weird now, the amount of toys.
China.
China.
Yes.
Did you ever use this?
Decoratively, yes.
Decoratively,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
so just stuff sitting around.
Yeah.
Doing nothing. So, real dust gatherers, aren't they? They
Yes,
just sit
yes,
around.
they do tend to be dirt gatherers, yeah.
With all this tat, I hope there's something of value here.
Here's someone's grandmother's chair from Missouri.
Chris, what do you think?
We've got
Doesn't like it, does he?
we've got another one in the flat, and it just seems to take up space. I don't
Too much
think
space.
we need it.
Yes, I think that one should go. Yeah. Sadly.
Very ornate, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Chris may not like the grandmother chair, but I wonder whether the beautiful carving may be worth something. Hoarding queen Irene's also hoping to find items from her own grandmother, but will need to dig deep among the dust. Next up, Lynda Brown. This antique dealer's daughter has a magpie's eye, while accountant husband David is determined for her to account for her ways. Half a decade of boxed up belongings have racked up roughly £7,000 for the Browns.
It's just a convenience. One might almost say an indulgence to put things in there.
They live in Redhill in Surrey. Once home to the MP Edwina Curry and the singer Katie Melua. They're hoping to raise some cash by selling off their storage.
I've had my storage unit for 5 years to store my mother's paintings and my mother's things when she moved from her flat to a residential home. My mother died in 2010, and after that I thought, well, I'm responsible for getting rid of everything then, but didn't get round to it. And still haven't got round to it. It's got bigger and bigger, more and more things in it. I don't remember what's in there, and got to do something about it.
While husband David thinks enough is enough.
It's got too much stuff in it, and it's got out of control. It's a shock horror situation to see how things have just been put in over the years. It's so much easier just to close the door on the storage unit again and say, we'll come back another day. And perhaps we do come back another day, or Lynda does, and adds a little bit more to the store. We do have a grandchild in the offing, so any money could go towards helping the parents.
Lynda's lacked time and inclination since her mother passed away. Can I get the Browns motivated to sort their store? The fact is, wading through heartfelt hoards can be a taxing task.
So how are you feeling?
I'm a bit worried about this. Yes. Haven't seen any of it for a very long time.
Oh, it's still there.
Oh, gosh. Well, much more than I thought.
This is where we normally shut the door and go home.
Yeah.
You see,
Is that
so
right?
Can't do that today, can we?
No.
Stacked like a true hoarder, we can see Lynda's been adding to it bit by bit.
This is going to be a shock when we get to the back of it.
Get it all out. Your grandmother's things, oh my goodness, this is a little lavender bag, isn't it? Doesn't smell much of lavender anymore.
No, I
does
don't
it?
think so. Gosh, you can't wait to get in there, can you?
I can't wait to get in here.
The problem is a lot of these things are from Lynda's family and no great value, but the sentimental value is going to be a bit hard.
Okay.
A little bit, at times, I think, tear-jerking for Lynda.
Okay, that's what we'll tackle that.
It's my grandma's mandolin. When she was young, she went down the hill on her bike too fast and fell off at the end and broke her hand, and was told that a musical stringed instrument would give her movement back in it. So she had the mandolin. There we go.
Heavens.
The mandolin strikes a sentimental chord with Lynda. It seems her storage here is a real window on her past.
My mother was a very keen artist, and a lot of these boxes contain her paintings.
How many do you think there are?
I should think about 30, 40. I remember this one hanging up at home.
Oh, wow. It's very competent, isn't it?
Yeah,
It
so
really
I think
is.
she's really good.
With that subject, it could almost be a constable. Well, perhaps not.
The weight of paint looms large here. Moving beyond Mum's and even Grandmother's memories is going to take more than a pick through this pile. Coming up, Irene's unearthing some beauties among the bubble wrap.
We've just found my grandmother's sewing box.
Oh, my gosh.
And Lynda starts making music from her storage.
Yes.
But will our hoarders hit the high notes at auction?
35, 38, 40, 42.
We're here looking into the hoarding lives of two couples. Their tale? Too much tat, too many trinkets. I've set them a challenge to declutter. Earlier we touched on the Tuckets. Retired teacher Irene is joined by Deputy Headmaster's son, Chris. well-travelled mum is now living with her son and has forked out £4,000 in storage. The remnants of 4 houses, 4 continents, and now all in the past.
I'm going to get in trouble for this, aren't I? Look at that.
Unused. Stuck in a box.
Then there are the Browns, Lynda and David. It's her family that's left her with a payload of packing. But is there anything of value here?
Oh, that's a lovely bag. Oh, and some jewellery.
Our hoarders need some hand-holding. I've asked them to categorise the clutter. Keep is for the heap you don't want to lose. Skip for the stuff you want to tip. Sell for items worth vlogging. And charity for items too good to chuck. Later, we'll meet Tom Keane, a veteran in vintage. He'll be looking into their storage and crying out if he sees any collectibles worth peddling.
I think that's one I definitely want to keep. I'm quite fond of it.
With attitudes like Irene's, I've given them a time limit to kick their tat into touch. First, I've got in some hard help to move their boxes to a bigger space. I can't believe how much stuff they've got to shift. Once laid out, Irene's unpacked hoard is a traveller's tale. From an American lobster to French brocante. A tourist treasure, that's for sure. While Lynda's is a family time capsule, taped up memories and repacked recollections to sort.
Oh my God.
Goodness me.
Oh no.
This teacher's hoard has been in detention too long. It's going to be a real test for Irene, but can she think quickly and clear the clutter?
This is going to take forever.
But it doesn't take long before the Tuckets start breaking open the boxes. Come on, Irene, let's make a good start to halving your hoard.
Let's skip. Put charity.
And the lobster.
Keep.
First item to keep. Hopefully not the first of too many.
You tell her, Chris. And all those cuddly toys. Chris has even convinced Irene they should all go.
I think that can be binned. Quite old.
That? Don't know, that might be worth something.
When it's all laid out, she's having issues parting with her past. The teacher needs one of my tough lessons in stockpile psychology.
How are you feeling?
OK, I mean, I could probably move a lot of stuff back into the keep pile, but I won't.
My mum definitely wants to chuck a lot out, but I think when it's all out in front of you, then it's actually harder to do it than you think it's going to be.
So I think if you think about whether you really need it and will actually use it in reality, rather than maybe... So no indecision here. We need clear thinking.
Yeah.
That as well?
Well, they're from Australia, you see, and I have trouble getting rid of things that are souvenirs of the past.
Ah, right.
Sort of sentimentality.
Now, what were you saying to me earlier about the past when we had a little chat?
Yeah, I'm not the curator of my past.
Yes, that's right. Do you want to be the curator of your past?
No.
Well done! Well done. Good, good, good. Let's continue in this way.
But I might be the curator of somebody else's past.
Oh, dear.
I better stay and help Irene and Chris. Sentimentality and storage are the closest of relatives.
This is a good one. Time to turn over a new leaf.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
The storage has spoken. A remarkable 22 house moves, lives across 4 continents. Irene's catalogued them all here in her hoard.
And what about this?
Oh, those are from America. I get so sentimental about American things.
Do you? Was that a happy time in your life?
I liked it because it was something I achieved on my own. You know, the things associated with that are quite dear to me.
The lovely lobster in the corner can be representative of that time, can't he?
So can my lovely plates.
So can your lovely plates, indeed. It's just that there's a limit, isn't there?
What's that?
Oh, wow, I don't believe it. It's my grandmother's sewing box. I haven't seen that for so many years.
Wow.
When I was a child, I used to love that box.
So did she actually use it as a sewing box?
Yeah, she was a seamstress, yes, in her younger days. Oh, look, there's a few bits in there.
Oh, hold on. A baby picture. Who's this?
No idea. Might be my father when he was a baby.
Oh, what a
Cute,
chooch.
isn't it? Yes.
And these fearsome-looking women, who are they?
Yes.
We've got a driving licence in here.
Yeah.
John Holcomb Bowler,
That was my father, yes.
from 70 to 73.
They were tiny, weren't they, in those days?
This is a real antique then, isn't it?
Yes, and certainly in terms of worth, it has a huge sentimental worth to me.
I think this needs more investigation, so I've sent Irene to see Paul Burrows at his family-run antiques business of more than 20 years. He can hopefully shed more light on the box and maybe even needle her into selling.
What a lovely box, and in reasonable condition. What do you know about it?
It was my grandmother's sewing box, and she was a seamstress. And when I was a child, I was quite fascinated by this box because she used to keep all sorts of treasures in it.
Just lean it backwards a little bit. You can see the beautiful silk thread that's making it into a cushioned silk. No doubt at all that that's the original. Very nice, very nicely cushioned. And I've no reason to doubt that isn't original either. They match really quite nicely.
Yes, it's lovely and bright, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sun's not got to that at all. It's been very protected. And I think it was loved and well cared for.
Same colour lining as the rest.
Lovely. Actually, this box would be classed as being a table cabinet.
Oh, right.
And would date from the middle part of the 19th century. So if we said between 1850 and 1860,
right, well,
I think we'll be pretty close to that.
Every self-respecting Victorian household had a sewing box. In good condition today, they can fetch more than £500. From the 19th century, some sewing boxes became extremely luxurious as women's leisure time dominated the upper classes. The top-notch ones were adorned with rose, walnut and satinwood, as well as mother-of-pearl, and were known as embroidery nécessaires.
Would a box like this be rare, Paul? And would it be collectible?
Rare it isn't, collectible it is.
Would you have any idea about value?
To get this up to tip-top condition, it will want some work doing on it. I noticed there's some dents, there's losses of the finish, there's dents on the back here. When it's fully completed and restored and looking the best that it can possibly be, it would probably be somewhere around about £250. So at the moment, it would obviously be less than that.
Yes.
Because it's got to be restored.
I'm happy with it just as it is. I know there are defects with the box, but they don't matter to me, and I would never, ever consider selling it.
That'll be a no from hoarding queen Irene. Now it's time to unravel the Browns baggage.
Oh, my goodness.
The family time capsule is raising more questions than answers for David.
What are we going to do with things like this? What on earth are we going to do with the bowls? What's all this stuff over here, Lynda?
They look overwhelmed. I think it's time for a pep talk among the packaging.
I think it'll be fine, actually, as long as you keep focus and are able to make quick decisions.
Yeah.
Just flow through. Just think about what you really want to keep, what you really, really will use.
Yes, yes.
Her mother's paintings gathering dust raises more questions, but Lynda's had a brainwave on what to do with them.
I think we need to have a whole sort of separate discussion about your mum's paintings.
I have had thoughts about them.
OK.
But near us at home, we've got a Headley Court. It's for people who amputees getting back to life again. And I did wonder about selling them because they're local pictures and the money to go to Headley Court.
That sounds a good idea.
Sounds like a plan for the paintings. Another hang-up for hoarders, bibliomania. Books can be hard to throw or give away.
We have a lot of books at home, apart from all these, and I totted up how old I would have to be to read them all, and it got near to 300, so...
So should we just move all the books over into the charity pile?
Yeah? Well, yes.
I'm glad I've broken the back of Lynda's sorting. But is there any value among the hoard? There must be something we can lift from the luggage.
Oh, an egg-shaped thing. What's the story behind the egg?
This was actually given to me by a school friend who married and moved to Switzerland. 30 years ago, or such as that.
More than that, I'd have thought.
Yeah, yeah.
And where's it been all this time, over the 30
Well,
years?
it was at home for a bit, but it's quite hard to display.
Yes.
It was on the stairs, in a stair cupboard for a long time.
Yes, I'm afraid it did get relegated to the store.
Time's ticking for the two teams. All this decision-making is certainly a taxing task.
Oh, yeah, I'll keep that one.
Scales, yes, they can go.
You going to use that one, Irene?
This one?
No, the one moving swiftly on.
Oh, go on, go to charity.
Thank you.
There's some awful parrot.
Not such a pretty boy.
No.
I hope there's going to be enough to sell for Irene and Chris to take Mum's ashes to Ostend, and for Lynda and David to raise some money for their grandchild. With the pile almost perfected, Lynda's come across another musical memory from her collection, her grandfather's accordion, which she used to play alongside Lynda's grandmother with her mandolin.
Oh, yes. Quite melancholic, isn't it? Does that bring back memories?
Yes, yes. Yes, it's a shame I can't do better with it, really. I thought, as it's been in store for so long, it would be, the bellows would be broken, but they don't seem to be.
Would you think about selling it?
I did think I was going to sell it, but I don't think I feel like selling it now.
Time is up. Keep, skip, sell and charity was the aim for the Tucketts and the Browns. I'm glad Irene finally came clean with a lot of her clutter. But the retired teacher should do detention for her keep pile. Charities are going to do well from the Browns. Not surprising when you keep on adding to storage over 5 years. I hope our collector's sell pile will reveal some hidden treasures that they can convert to hard cash. Coming up, will our experts' predicted excitement for Irene's china materialise at auction?
People will pay more for the coal port, and you might get a bit of a bidding war going on.
And there's a jaw-dropping surprise when we bite into Lynda's lot.
Crown sovereigns?
No, crown teeth.
Crown teeth?
Oh, my goodness.
That's why they're smiling so much, I see.
And it's hammer time with fraying nerves at auction.
95.
Excuse me.
We're on the trail of 2 space invaders. The goal is to turn them into space savers. Globetrotting Irene and son Chris desperately want to slim her storage. 22 houses, 25 moves, and a £4,000 splurge on space. Ouch. And the Browns, retired Lynda and husband David, he's, well, browned off with the bumper boxes. It's an ancestral store they're keen to sort. It's time for antiques expert Tom Keane to cast his discerning eye on the Tuckett storage. With his 2 decades of experience, there's a lot they can learn.
Right, have a good look through the items. There's some nice things here, not really, really valuable, but it's enough to get you a good weekend away somewhere. Clacton, Bournemouth, Brighton, if you're lucky. Return.
Thank you.
So where should we start? We got this quite nice-looking patchwork quilt down there. What do you know about that?
I know that it was handmade in Melbourne, Australia, and that it is a representation of typical Australian houses, some city houses and some outback houses. Yes.
It's really pretty. It's so well made.
These are still very now, going any sort of vintage-looking house, don't they? And I think that will do quite well at auction. I'll estimate that at £100 to £200. A lot of time and money goes into making those, and hopefully people will realise that it's got that sort of value to it. And do you like the cups and saucers?
Yes, I do. I think they're very pretty, yes.
They all look the same, but there's 2 factories. One's a really good English factory called Coalport, and they've been going since the late 18th, early 19th century. There's also a Japanese factory made in English style for the Victoria and Albert Museum. Now, the Coalport are really more valuable than the Japanese factory, so you're talking about £10 a cup and saucer for the Coalport and £5 a cup and saucer for the Japanese. I think they should be sold in 2 lots at auction, though, because people will pay more for the Coalport, and you might get a bit of a bidding war going on. Their copies are in the 18th and 19th century style, but obviously late 20th century. And there's 2 more things right down the front of the table. You've got some nice stained glass panels, both of different periods. I'll lift one up for you. This one is obviously a modern stained glass panel. Stylised, was that a boat in there, a yacht?
That's right, yes.
You can see all the metalwork's been restored around there. That's quite colourful, quite pretty. And then you've got this earlier, sort of 1910 looking stained glass panel. Now, if you look at this sort of design, very Art Deco, and before that, you know a company called Moorcroft Pottery? You seem to know about your pottery.
Yes.
That's the sort of clouds they put in their pottery.
Oh,
that,
really?
Yeah. So William Moorcroft used that in his design, so that's quite stylistic. Unfortunately, there's a few little cracks in the other panes I've just looked at, but they're still collectible, and I think you probably get about 50 or 60 pounds for those three, so it's not awful.
Right, yeah.
So, the items Tom has selected to take to auction from Irene's hoard are the handcrafted quilt from the land down under, valued at £100 to £200. The Coalport porcelain set of 11 cups and saucers could fetch between £60 and £80. And those Victoria and Albert Museum collection cups from Japan, £30 to £40. Tom was also taken by 3 small 1930s stained glass panels. The 3 are valued at up to £60. Lastly, there was also a koala porcelain figurine valued up to £30 and an Art Deco vase for a similar price. Yet there was one item Tom was keen to hear more about.
I know you like this chair, don't you?
I do like this chair, yes, because I'm fond of American colonial items, and I very much like the press work there.
I think it deserves closer inspection. So I've sent them to see Kim Badcock, who runs an antique shop in Birmingham, to find out more.
Hello, Irene.
To see
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And thank you for taking the time to see us.
OK, Irene, what's the provenance relating to your chair? Where does it come from?
I got a pair of these chairs from a gentleman in London, and at the time I bought them, he told me that they were his grandmother's chairs from Missouri.
It's easy to date this because the spindles didn't appear until after 1865. It's a Roman-style spindle. On the front here, the supports are turned. Again, there's spindles. You have 2 supports there.
19th century chairs from Regency to Chippendale can fetch thousands of pounds. One of the most expensive ever was sold at over £17 million. Chairs made of hard woods like mahogany or oak can last for centuries. Our British Windsor chairs are the most popular here, so Kim wanted to compare hers with Irene's American chair.
I was really hoping that you'd have a Windsor chair and you found one for us.
Yes.
Do you know much about this chair you can tell us about?
It's a very popular chair. It's been around for quite a few years. You see a lot of them. This one, unfortunately, is not a genuine one, it's a reproduction.
There's an easy way of saying this one's a reproduction. See where it's jointed and slatted here, and that's been pressed together, where the original ones were more of a grain like this running through it, but the whole thing will be elm. But there is a design fault.
There is a design fault with them. It's predominantly in the back of the chair. When they bend the wood to get to that shape, because it puts a lot of pressure on the wood, it creates a crack, it can crack, and that, sadly, is what's happening in this case.
Yeah, you can just see it starting to go there, can't you? Unlike the American chair here.
Tom, can you turn the chairs for me, please?
Yeah.
Turn them round so we can see the back, the legs at the back. OK. With the Windsor chair, you've got the spindle turned at the back.
Yes.
OK. With your American chair, it's just a straight leg. There's no turning as there is on the front. It's just a straight leg down.
Right, why would that be?
It's a cost factor. It makes it more economical to produce.
So, Kim, what do you think the value is of this chair?
I think the value of this chair is going to be in the region of about £45 at auction. I don't think, in its current state, you're going to get much more for it, to be perfectly honest with you.
With that kind of price tag, the 2 Missouri chairs are more valuable in Irene's house than at auction.
I think the chair will now go home with me to be reunited with its partner, where they can live happily together. And that pleases me.
We've now come to the auction house. If Irene's going to take that trip to Belgium, she's going to have to trade tough with her stuff.
So are you excited about today?
It's going to be a very interesting experience. I've never been to an auction before.
Right. Are you ready for disappointment as well, though?
Oh, definitely.
Sure?
I'm always ready for disappointment.
Well, I hope you won't be, and good luck.
The bidders are starting to buzz. Time to get some insight into Irene's lots. Auctioneer William Rouse, the gavel guru, tells us what sells.
Irene's got some small lots of ceramics predominantly. They're later in date than things that perhaps we often sell, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a nice little set of modern coffee cans and saucers which are really prettily decorated. They've got a fairly conservative estimate on them, so with any luck somebody will see the potential in those. I think she will certainly get a couple of good results, I'm quite sure.
We've come a long way since first opening up Irene's container, and now it's auction time. For some items, there are reserve prices. It's the lowest value she's willing to sell the lot at auction.
So your lot up next. Are you ready for this?
I am, yes.
You excited?
Yes, but as Charles Dickens said, I don't have great expectations.
First up, the 1930s stained glass panels. Tom's estimate, £50 to £60.
Start me, £20 to go. 20, 22, 25, 28. £28 for stained glass. With me at 28, £28.
It didn't make the reserve price from the floor today. Not a good start for Irene. Vintage is in. Maybe the Aussie quilt work will weave wonders. Mr. Keane was exactly that on this item, up to £200.
Let's start this one at £50 for it. For the patchwork quilt, £50, 55, £55 then. £55. With me at 55. No more interest then. No more. £55 then. Sorry.
I said it was overpriced.
OK, good for you, Irene. You got the right attitude.
130C.
Not sold. It's that reserve price again. Come on, Irene. Belgium or bust. The Victoria and Albert Museum Japanese cups are next up, with no reserve. I hope they don't go too cheaply.
£20 to start me. For the mixed lot, 20 I'm bid in the middle of the room. I can sell them for £20. Are you all done and finished?
22 another one.
28, 30, 32, 35, 38, 40, 42, 45, £45 here. With the lady then at 45. Anybody else? 45.
OK, that's good.
Surprised me.
That's better, and £5 over Tom's top estimate. Oh, we're on a roll with China. £60 to £80 was the benchmark for the Coalport collection.
Start me, £30 to go. 30 I'm bid, thank you. 32, 35, 38.
Interest?
42.
Somebody wants them. Two people want them. They're good.
£50 all done. Anybody else? £50. 175.
The Victoria Albert William Morris collection.
Even after Tom and William's interest, they didn't do as well as expected, but at least they sold for £50. Irene also sold the koala figurine for £30 and the Art Deco vase for £25. So, what did Irene make of the auction?
I think it went pretty much as I expected, Aggie. I didn't think I was going to make a fortune out of it, and I looked upon it more as an interesting experience and one that I might want to repeat later on by putting other items into auctions.
I mean, nothing went for ridiculously low prices.
In the end, Irene sold 4 items at auction, including the Coalport porcelain set for £50 and the Japanese collection cups at £45. She's totted at £138 after commission. But it's the 2 storage units, if cleared, that could save her real money, potentially £2,700 a year.
So how have you found the Storage Hoarders experience?
Valuable. It's helped me to get rid of some of the stuff that I really didn't need anymore, and I think it's taught me a lesson. It'll be a disincentive for my collecting bug that I used to have.
And do you feel that you're suffering at all because of that?
No, I think it's liberating.
How are you going to spend the money that you've raised so far?
Well, I think I've raised enough for Chris and I to take my mum's ashes back to Belgium. It's a promise, and I'll be able to keep that promise.
That's good.
Irene plans to sell some of her items online, including more chairs. And the good news is she's now cleared about half of her main unit and is determined to downsize. After the break, Lynda gets her vintage valued. Could there be a surprise in store?
If it was an original painting, stick the noughts on.
And at auction, the bids get the Browns into a right tiz.
650, 700, 750, 800, 850.
Earlier on Storage Hoarders, we hooked up with Irene and Chris.
It's a big job, isn't it? Oh, my goodness.
Storage from 4 houses and Irene's travels were turned into more than £130 at auction. She can now take her mother's ashes back to Belgium. While the Browns want to build a fund for their grandchild, could Lynda's ancestral antiques hold the answer? Tom Keen's hoping to have more luck with what the Browns have boxed up. With over 20 years' experience in antiques, he knows what the bidders like at auction.
Now we've got 3. There's one in here as well. Ladies' gold watches. We've got gold straps as well, which is quite good.
Yeah.
So you should get around £300 to £400 for those.
Really?
Yeah.
Good heavens.
Well, that's the reaction I was hoping to get. Let's look at the costume jewellery. A set of pearls, they're paste, they're not real pearls. Coral there as well. You've got some other bits of jet and beads, jet beads. There's a little gold horseshoe brooch in there as well.
That's
It's all
pretty.
costume jewellery. Again, I'm going to put 80 to 150 on that lot and see what it makes. And it could double or treble it. 4 various pocket watches, various qualities, various values. Now, this is the most bog standard one, really, the silver ones. They're quite nice. This little continental fob watch is silver cased. If you get 80 to £100 for all 4, you'll be doing quite well.
Yeah.
Earlier on, I saw this. This is a really, really good picture frame. 18th to 19th century. You can see the way it's joined here at the back.
Oh, my goodness.
Proper cabinet maker made this. Look at that.
Yes.
Now, what really takes it into to a different league of picture frames is this is all carved wood. It's not gesso applied.
Gosh.
So now, what would they make at auction? We've got to put it in at £100 or £200. That's all the money.
Oh, my goodness.
If it made 3 or 4, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Now, earlier on, I was going through all the rings down there we found in various boxes.
Yes.
There's one curious thing I didn't know what it was about, but this looks gold to me. What's that?
It's gold crowns melted down.
What, crown sovereigns?
No, crown teeth.
Crown teeth?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's why they're smiling so much, I see.
They kept breaking off, so I thought, I can't throw them away.
Well, OK, well, there's still quite a good value to those. You've got a nice lot of gold there, 18 carats, 122 carats, and a few 9 carats. There's £1,000 there.
Crikey!
Oh, wow. That's a result, isn't it?
It looks like Lynda's family past has come up trumps. Tom has singled out the 1960s gold Eberhard wristwatch and 2 others, together valued at £300 to £400. The late Victorian picture frame valued at up to £200. While the rings and the gold tooth rod a mammoth bite in terms of value, £1,000 to £2,000. Tom also took a fancy to some costume jewellery, going to auction at £80 to £100. And ticking away, 4 pocket watches also valued at up to £100. Last up, Tom singled out a set of Victorian postal scales at a similar value. But it's the egg that stands out for Tom. He noticed the design was from a well-known Swiss illustrator from the 60s, Celestino Piatti. He wants another opinion. Lee Benson, a key figure in the art market, could have the answers.
Oh, Lee, you all right?
Hey, very well. How are you, Tom?
It's Lynda.
Good to see you. Hello, Lynda.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, David.
Celestino Piatti.
Indeed.
Do you know much about him?
Swiss?
Swiss, yes.
Originally. Do you know he illustrated over 6,000 books? I mean, that's amazing. That shows popularity, doesn't it? But his real fame was for posters, a lot from the 60s. And he actually got 30 awards for the best posters in Switzerland. So that's quite an accolade. There's only one thing problematic with this. If we open it up, there's something missing. And if it's from Switzerland, you know what it is? Where's the chocolates?
Oh, not guilty. We didn't
You've
eat
eaten.
No, not us.
They didn't survive. This is incredible packaging, really.
Yes.
Problem is, we know it's not original because if you look at this side, we look at this side, it's identical. Therefore, it's not
No.
the original.
No.
He may have produced this egg, but the Swiss illustrator was famous for his posters and prints. They fetch hundreds of pounds at auctions, if signed, even more.
It's not an original, it's a printed design. I think you'd maybe find 25, 50 quid or something like that. I think if it was an original painting...
Something else.
Stick the noughts on, because he's not painting anymore.
No.
And would you like as an addition to your gallery?
What if it was the original?
Oh.
Then we can talk.
Shame Lee won't sell it in his gallery. It's now creating more questions.
What are we going to do with the egg? Are we going to keep it, display it in our house, see if it's worth selling?
It's time to get Lynda and David down to the auction house. On some of their items, they've got reserve prices.
High hopes today?
Yes. Some items we hope will go quite well.
Which ones?
The golden rings and the watches.
Do you have reserves on those?
Yes.
You do. And have you thought about how much money you might make today or how much you'd like to make?
We've been given some estimates, and it would seem to be perhaps that we're looking at £1,500 to £2,000. But that's really, as I have to say, slightly immaterial. It's just getting rid of Lynda's stuff. That's all I'm interested in.
Did you see the way you pointed the finger with the eyes? Yeah. Stuff.
If they could raise up to £2,000, that's going to make one happy grandchild. But what does auctioneer William Rouse think will make the money?
The items of jewellery, and we've got a whole lot of gold. Obviously, gold will always fetch its gold price at the very least. But the lot, which has got lots of other bits and pieces in it, is more interesting and has got the potential for doing that a little bit better. But I am famous for being wrong in these situations, so you never know.
Time for the hoard to go under the hammer. Let the bidding begin.
Excited?
Yes. And hopeful.
And hopeful.
Yes.
That's a good place to be.
First in line are pieces of time. Those 4 pocket watches, one Edwardian, £80 to £100 the estimate. Here we go.
What are they worth? £50 to go. Bid 50, 55, £55 for those, 60, 65.
It's got to go above 80. That's your reserve, isn't it?
70, 75, 80, 85, 90, £90 in the doorway. Anybody else then? Doesn't seem a lot. £90.
100.
95.
Oh, excuse me.
£95 to my right, then 95.
95? How are you feeling about that? You all right with that? Good.
Phew, just in there at £95. Glad they spotted that last bidder. Next up, the 3 gold wristwatches. The estimate, up to £400. Lynda's put a reserve of £300 on them.
I'll take 260 in the room with me at £250. At 250, anybody else want to come in? It's still with me then.
Come on.
At £250, that's it then. No bid.
Oh, it's not selling.
What a shame. The reserve price of £300 scuppered that sale. However, the balance tipped back in Lynda's favour with the postal scales selling at £80. The jewellery's next, valued up to £100. Again, a reserve, this time of 80. Let's hope for another sure sale.
£65, 70 I'll take for the jewellery. £65 with me, 70 I'll take. Any more interest then? £65 with me, then 65.
Unsold because of Lynda's reserve. Twice bitten now, but we're still not shy. Now the late Victorian gilt picture, estimated at £100 to £200.
Straight in with a bid of £80. 120 with me, 130, 140 is my last, 150 in the room.
There's a lot of interest.
£150 in the room. Here at 150.
150. Hey.
Good.
The frame's a right picture price at £150. Tom's advice was spot on. They are in vogue. The crowning glory, the gold jewellery, valued at up to £2,000. But will our bidders think the same?
I'm straight in at 650, 700 is the next bid. With me at 650, 700, 750, 800, 850. With me at £800, £800, 850 I'll take.
Come on.
At £800, anybody else? Not quite enough.
Never mind.
That's a shame.
That's small to take home now.
Yes.
The reserve of £1,000 pushed this lot into touch. Shame. Lynda could still have made £800.
Have you got a plan for the cash?
Well, I did tell our daughter that the money that came from the rings would be hers.
But that's sort of on hold for the time
Yes,
being,
yes,
until we
she'll
actually
have to
sell
wait a
those.
bit longer for that, yes.
What about the other lot of money?
It's for the train fare home, there's nothing else.
Exactly.
Their grandchild's fund will have to wait until they sell the high-value items another time. Totted up, they sold a healthy 5 items at auction. The Victorian gilt frame did the best at £150. Add it all up and minus the commission, a total of £336.
So would you say this has been a beneficial experience for you?
Oh, yes, certainly. Quite apart from today, which perhaps didn't work out as well as we might have thought, the actual turning out of the store...
It's been fantastic.
Has been fantastic, yes.
The storage unit now is slimmed down, rather.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic.
So you're aiming in the next few weeks to be storage unit free?
Yes.
2 months, I think, probably. 2 months.
I was going to say, do you think that seems
No.
realistic?
No.
Do you think he's right in
Well,
what
I
he's
expect
saying?
he is, yes, he usually is.
Ooh, can I have that in writing, please? You're usually right.
Lynda is now clearing her unit. It could save them nearly £2,000 a year. She managed to sell her mother's paintings at a charity lunch, making £100 for a good cause. But the ultimate goal? To close her unit completely. I'm thrilled our hoarders have learnt to be smart with storage. They've cleared their clutter and cleaned up at auction. Join me, AGGIE MACKENZIE, next time on Storage Hoarders.